Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Useless Aggression podcast with me, James.
And me, Henry.
So we took a little bit longer this week coming out with a new episode because we were waiting for SmackDown last night so we could finalise our predictions for Elimination Chamber, and they just didn't announce anything really.
In fact, if anything, they've made the future even more unpredictable. With now Bayley seemingly has no opponent for WrestleMania as they've buried Naomi, and although there was only one bit to come out of that, which was everyone still hates Dolph Ziggler because of Otis, which is I'm still heartbroken by that. Justice for Otis, it needs to happen.
Dolph Ziggler right now is really smashing it as a heel. He's doing such a good job. It's a bit weird because you have to think about, it's well documented in the past he's wanted to leave. He doesn't feel like he's used as well as he could be, and I do agree with him on that. But
massively, yeah.
this is probably the most, I was going to say over, but obviously he's a heel, so the most heat he's had.
Massively.
And it's just because he's having a weird feud with the the Mandy Rose and Otis feud. It's insane.
Yeah,
Like he must have thought, I can't believe I'm being put in this storyline. Like no one's going to care about this. This is so stupid. Everyone loves it.
it's kind of propelled him though. So I mean, I don't think he would have really been even considered for the Elimination Chamber match if this wasn't the case. And you'll probably end up having some kind of WrestleMania thing to do with Otis in some way, shape, or form. I imagine.
Well, it's been rumored, hasn't it, that the WrestleMania match will be him versus Otis with Mandy Rose as the referee. Which, when I look at the projected card for Mania, I'm probably more excited about that match than 90% of the others.
And also the thing is that the crowd would be so into it as well. Like
Oh,
everyone,
100%.
if you like the pre, I mean, a really good thing to put on the pre-show actually for the first like couple of hours, just get everyone invested
No,
in the show.
I'm talking main event.
The
I'm
main event
talking.
closes the show.
I think maybe AJ and Taker I'm a little bit more excited about.
And you're not excited for Roman Reigns and Goldberg, James? What? Actually, genuinely, I'm really excited for Cena Fiend. That was one good thing to come from SmackDown.
Yeah, the two world title matches that have been out so far, I'm a bit like, yeah, they can go away. But Cena Fiend is
I
looking
think Drew
alright.
McIntyre Lesnar could be a bit of a slugfest, which could be quite cool. A good old fashioned slobber knocker. Because I mean, he's getting some pretty good power pops. Drew McIntyre. They've booked him really really well so far because they have a tendency, as we know, with Roman Reigns to kind of oversaturate us with Royal Rumble winners, like having the Becky Lynch
Yeah,
as well, like Seth Rollins, and I think they've booked him perfectly so far. I mean, there's still unfortunately plenty of time for them to ruin it, but they have. I think so far they've done a really really good job with Drew McIntyre. Like I'm more and more invested in him as the weeks go by.
I would say also part of the reason why is because of the work that Heyman's been doing on Lesnar's side. He did such a good promo against him on Raw this week, and he's just really building up the heel Lesnar, which means you're loving the face McIntyre more because you just really want to see Lesnar get beaten. So I think they are handling this feud very well. I agree. Yeah, it'll probably be an alright match. To be fair, I was probably a bit harsh on it, but it's still got nothing on Otis versus Dolph.
But I just like the thing with the Cena Fiend one where they've just actually they've tried to save face a little bit and almost imply that the Fiend lost deliberately to Goldberg so he could avenge the loss to Cena at WrestleMania 30. Because like I mean that kind of was, as much as again I love John Cena, that kind of was the beginning of the end of the original Bray Wyatt character.
Yeah,
When he lost to Cena, that's when he started losing more and more and becoming less credible. I mean, obviously, yeah, he fought the Undertaker a year later, but I mean, he was never going to win that. Um, and that was kind of a little bit out of the blue as a oh shit, Bray Wyatt's fighting the Undertaker. But yeah, I mean, and then I think it makes sense. They've booked that well. They've booked that as the idea that the only reason this has ever happened is because of John Cena and stuff like that. And I think that could be obviously both of them are pretty good at in-ring storytelling and promos. That could be the build up to that one's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it should be. I do kind of like the fact they've gone with the whole, oh, I dropped the title because I wanted to face Cena, but also it's a little bit too easy of a get out for WWE to be like, oh guys, it's fine. We had it planned all along. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, you got so much stick off the fans, and you just were so desperate to put the title on this old man that
Yeah.
you had to come up with this rubbish little get out. But yeah,
I mean, it's a saving face for 100%, but I think it's a well done saved face. Because they have a tendency to forget stuff like this as well. They have a very selective memory when it comes to feuds. So
I feel like it was a saving face idea from back, like behind the scenes, which wasn't good, and then Bray Wyatt's just gonna make it good.
what are you chatting shit about Big Match John for?
No, Big Match John isn't involved in that decision. Like, it was just, I can imagine like creative went to Bray and they went, so now you're gonna say that you lost deliberately, and
Oh,
everyone's like, oh god. But then when it's actually come to perform it, Bray's just done such a good job of that that it makes it work.
yeah, he is. I've always had a lot of time for Bray Wyatt, even as the old school Bray Wyatt, which I guess he is now known. Um, yeah, like I always loved him. He could sell anything. Every feud he had, obviously he lost, which was really a shame. But his promo work in it was fantastic.
No, he was very good, and yeah, it's a shame that it just became obvious it was always going to lose, and then they randomly decided to put a title on him, only to lose it to Randy Orton straight away. It was
That weird
yeah,
match with the projections and stuff. I remember that. God, I'd expelled that from my memory.
yeah, it was
Oh,
terrible.
I was so happy that he finally won, and then that happened.
Yeah, they just did not handle the old Bray Wyatt well, so that's why when the Fiend came in, we were quite happy, I guess, and then again that was mismanaged, but it's okay. I'm over it now, guys. I'm over Super Showdown. Just don't bring it up ever again, and I'm over it.
Hey, you got the Mansour's streaks in intact though. That's all that matters. For
Yeah,
another
Mansour's
six
streak is
months,
still intact, everyone.
and they
So that
put
is,
me through the heartbreak and the stress of watching Mansour wrestle again.
I, yeah. While he's still safe and that streak's safe, we're all safe.
The moment he's announced against Brock Lesnar, though, I'm done. I'm not watching that match.
No, Mansour will definitely win.
Clean Brock Lesnar in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, just clean. Um, so got a bit of a new segment coming up now, where we'll very quickly recap what's happened in the last week of wrestling with what we like to call the Rogers Report. So AEW Revolution took place last Saturday, and fans were treated to a fantastic card featuring possibly the match of the year so far between the Young Bucks and Omega and Hangman Page. The main event saw Jon Moxley winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, dethroning Chris Jericho as Le Champion.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, didn't have much of a hill to climb considering Super Showdown was 2 days before, but they pretty much took Super Showdown and eviscerated it. It was a really good show. I mean, even like smaller matches was great as well.
Yeah, I think that AEW were always going to be planning on having a good show, but I reckon they couldn't believe their luck when they saw Super Showdown. I can just imagine them all sat backstage thinking, oh my god, we've just been handed an absolute silver platter by WWE, and let's take it. And anyone who hasn't seen that tag match definitely needs to watch that tag match. It is incredible.
Even like Cody MJF, amazing.
Cody MJF was amazing as well. The main event's really good. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara's really good.
Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, incredible. So there's so much good stuff about it. And I would say as well, even for people, if you don't watch AEW, with that tag match, just the promo package before will kind of give you enough of the story that you'll be invested in the storytelling in the match. So really good match. Moving on then to Raw, and the Street Profits won the tag titles from Rollins and Murphy thanks to an assist from Kevin Owens. There will be a rematch, however, and it's going to happen at Elimination Chamber this weekend.
I mean, hopefully this means they're going to be freeing up Rollins for something bigger down the line. This must be the end of the feud.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I'm hoping for there as well. hopefully Kevin Owens will get involved again, and then that leads to Owens and Rollins having an actual match at WrestleMania. The show also ended with Randy Orton giving Beth Phoenix an RKO, leading to Edge announcing he will be on Raw next week.
How good has that promo or that feud been so far? I mean, it's been mostly Randy Orton, but like I've not been invested in Randy Orton for about 5 years now, and he is amazing in this moment.
I think this is peak Orton. Like, this reminds, as I said, like I think I mentioned before, I don't think Randy Orton's been as good since probably his feud with Triple H years ago, where he was attacking Vince and Stephanie and stuff. He's been stale.
Like 10 years ago, God.
Yeah, he's been so stale since then, and he's just kind of had these crappy little feuds. And they at some point tried to make him a face, and that doesn't really work. He has absolutely nailed this, and that promo was incredible. It's probably the best promo I've seen in a WWE ring for, I don't know, I'm trying to think.
Literally years. Like, yeah. It's unbelievable.
So good. Then we go back to AEW. Jake the Snake Roberts turns up on AEW Dynamite this week and teased a mystery client coming to AEW to fight Cody Rhodes. Speculation has been rife online about if this could be Matt Hardy or Luke Harper, perhaps. But then Matt Hardy is also being linked to being the Exalted One for the Dark Order.
Yeah, he was all over Twitter, wasn't he? Saying he was looking up his options. Said he wasn't going to go back to WWE. Bray Wyatt actually tweeted as well, saying "Don't go, Matt," and stuff like that. So this seems... I mean, Luke Harper's an interesting shout for this though, because...
I've read a few things kind of linking him that he's going to sign. I think he had like a no-compete clause and whatnot, so he would definitely fit the kind of brief of... Because I'd say with Matt Hardy is his own mic work, which is why I don't think it would be him. But Luke Harper could benefit from someone doing the talking for him. That being said, as cool as it was seeing Jake the Snake come out, he didn't sound the best on the mic. But he has been rusty, he's not done it for a while. We'll let him warm into it, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting turn of events. And then on SmackDown last night, Ziggler and Rude earned the right to enter the Elimination Chamber last after winning the Gauntlet match. They were the final entrants, and they defeated Heavy Machinery, who had lasted through everyone until that point, much to the absolute heartbreak of, well, everyone.
This is what I mean, they put that pure shithouse heel booking at the moment for Ziggler, and it's amazing. Like he came out earlier in the night as well, didn't he, with Fire and Desire? They had a tag match earlier. He came out with them, interfered to help them win the match. But then when Otis gets like thrown through a barrier, and it cuts to Mandy Rose backstage, and she's all looking concerned for him that he's been injured and stuff like that. And I love it. I'm so invested in it. You shouldn't be invested in it, because this is that sort of stuff you look back on in wrestling and you're like, this is such a terrible idea. But for some weird reason, in this one, everyone just loves it.
Yeah, it's just an old school feud, isn't it? It really reminds you of like the Attitude Era. It really brings me back. I really enjoy it. It's really simple. It's really silly, but yeah, I kind of love it. That, I guess, nicely brings us to what's coming up this weekend, which is obviously Elimination Chamber. It's been a weird build, because it's been, well, they had 2 weeks since Super Showdown.
Not even really been a build. Like, it's it's kind of, I mean, half these matches have just sort of been put on the card without anyone knowing they've been put on the card. I mean, the only one they ever really made much of a hype over really is the women's Elimination Chamber match and the tag Elimination Chamber match, which I want to add. Obviously, I'm more than happy to be surprised by these, but
yeah,
on paper, these have to be two of the worst Elimination Chamber matches in a really long time.
Yeah, I have very little hope in terms of. I think the result. Well, we both think the result for the women's one is so obvious to the point where, when we do our predictions, we're not going to let someone lock that in, because it's almost just so ridiculously obvious.
But I mean, like, yeah, just look at so I've got to look at obviously the ever reliable Wikipedia. If you look at Elimination Chambers the last few years, I mean, last year's one you had Bryan, Kingston, Orton, Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe in one, and then you had the first ever women's tag team championship match. Obviously, Sasha Banks and Bailey won. So, well, I mean, obviously that tag division anyway has been kind of forgotten about, but equally, it was a monumental moment, and obviously that SmackDown tag match was kind of when Kofi Mania was in its prime, and then the one
Yeah,
the year before you had the women's one with the first ever women's one with Alexa Bliss beating a pretty stacked Chamber, and then you had the Universal title one with Reigns, Strowman, Rollins, Balor, Cena, Elias, and The Miz, and you were sat there like the star power of that's the last 2 years alone, like.
yeah. Because that was that was the 7-man one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
We
one where
started with 3
Strowman
people.
eliminated everyone apart from obviously Roman Reigns. Um, and then yeah, the one where Alexa Bliss did the thing where she ran away, climbing up the wall against Sasha Banks and Bailey, and then obviously then if you look at the women's tag one, you had what Bailey, Sasha Banks, Fire and Desire, Nia Jax, Tamina, Riot Squad, Iconics, Naomi, and Carmella. So there's not exactly a small like card.
Yeah.
There's some pretty big names in there. And then you look at it this year. I mean, we made this point, I think, before in previous episodes. We have to go listen to them to find out. But when you look at that, apart from Baszler, I mean, Asuka's the only real credible threat. But I mean, obviously, she's also the women's champion, or women's tag champion, sorry. So almost definitely she will not win.
It just kind of seems half-assed thrown together. This is the thing I don't like when it comes to the Saudi shows, because they put their focus on that and then go, oh yeah, crap, we've got 2 weeks to quickly throw something together. But by now, all their attention's on WrestleMania, and therefore it means the Elimination Chamber views kind of become redundant, which upsets me because I always used to love the entirety of the road to WrestleMania. So I love that you started with Royal Rumble, and then back in the day you had No Way Out, and then from there you went to the Rumble, to Mania. Whereas, and then they took out No Way Out, but they added in Elimination Chamber, which was still pretty cool because I quite liked the whole, oh god, this really is your last chance to get to WrestleMania, but you have to go through this really enduring, horrible match to get there. And now it's just turned into this
Look how
nothing.
monumental it's been in the last few years. As you said, setting up this. So obviously, like Kofi Kingston last year, that was when it got really highlighted, the whole Kofi Mania thing. Obviously, a few years before, you had when Bray Wyatt beat Cena clean in the middle of his last two, weren't they, to win the title, his first ever title. We won't talk about the WrestleMania match. You had the time with Daniel Bryan a few years prior, when everyone for Yeselmania, if you want to call it that, where everyone thought that was going to be the moment he finally won it, and then obviously corporate Kane interfered, and it's always been such a monumental edge of your seat moment in trying to save WrestleMania, I guess is the way to put it. But yeah, this year it just seems. I mean, obviously, I mean, there's enough people in the tag match one, like New Day, Usos, and stuff, to make it a good match. But I mean, the fact we made the point as well. There's none of the world or universal titles for both men or women are on the line, like at all.
Y- Yeah, so the big four titles not on the card.
Yeah, I mean, even if you put like a Ricochet esque squash match in there, I feel like one of them needs to be represented. I mean, that's the problem, isn't it, with the whole with when you put it on like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, because they're not going to turn up and do shows like this.
Yeah, when you do it, two old part timers, they're not going to be on every card. And then in the women's situation, why they couldn't have just had Naomi versus Bailey on the card seems.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
don't get
guess
it.
they don't want to. I guess they don't. Maybe it's because they are going to go with Naomi facing her at Mania, and they don't want her to lose twice. But then in that situation, why not have her face Lacey Evans then, just to have, considering Lacey's been teaming with Naomi, have her beat Lacey Evans, and then have Naomi have to come out and make a save and keep their feud going.
Or Becky Lynch just have a random match for the sake of having a match, because I mean, like she's a draw, like she's still a pretty big
Yeah,
draw. Like, I mean, because also the thing is as well is the match. The stipulation is for a match for the women's championship. It's not necessarily for exactly Becky Lynch. It's just the Raw Women's Championship. So you could, I mean, obviously it's always going to be Becky Lynch. Let's be honest. But you could always chuck her against some random woman. I don't know who you'd pick, but like anyone for the sake of just a match.
well, one thing I would quite like to see as an angle, what I thought might happen is you could have Becky Lynch going up against somebody, and then have that person attempt to cheat to win, and then actually have Baszler come out and stop that person from cheating because she wants to face Becky at Mania.
Yeah,
And
you have
that's the
something
kind
like
of
that. Yeah.
angle I thought was going to happen. I just didn't know who Becky was going to end up facing, and then it turns out just nobody.
Or you
I
could
was like,
put him, you could
okay,
even put her against like Charlotte or something, and then you have that little bit of doubt in your mind, like you're there, like, are they going to do what they did last year, where they randomly put the title on another title on Charlotte before Mania, and then the match with Ripley becomes like a double title match, or
I guess it would have been weird because then if the winner of the Elimination Chamber fights the Raw Women's Championship and Charlotte's already fighting Ripley, Charlotte doing double
I'm
duty.
just
Go
spitballing
on,
here,
Henry.
but like, Charlotte's fair. If they're going to give anyone double duty in WrestleMania these days, it's probably going to be someone like Charlotte, isn't it? Because
Best of all time.
yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, but like, yeah, it's just something like that. It's just a weird example. Like, it just makes it feel very much like a second-rate pay-per-view.
Oh, that's it. It's just very forgotten. I was just thinking, do they still do? Are they going to do that roadblock or whatever it's called?
Fastlane, or it was.
Fastlane. That's it. Is that still going to
No,
happen?
that's not happening now. I think it might. I think they're very like they're keeping the pay-per-view sort of schedule, if you like, very under wraps. Like if you look at it, it's very much. If you look at the pay-per-view schedule for this year, you've literally got confirmed is Extreme Rules, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and then at some point you're going to have Money in the Bank, and obviously WrestleMania. But apart from that, there's lots of gaps where they're like event to be confirmed. So
Oh,
I don't know where it just says there's going to be an event in, like, for example, oh, there'll be an event in September. Like, no one knows what event it's going to be or where it is yet, and they're keeping quite a lot of it under wraps. I'm not sure if they're trying to shake things up a little bit, or I mean, I'd like them to kind of go down the AEW route and not have events every month because you end up with stuff like this where it is just a B show basically. And because elimination chamber matches were normally like pretty epic stipulations, like so obviously Hell in a Cell is now an event of its own, but occasionally you will still get a Hell in a Cell match at like WrestleMania or something like that. Meanwhile, Elimination Chamber matches you will only get at Elimination Chamber, and yeah, I don't know. I just think it seems a bit flat.
yeah. It's very flat. Well, after all that hype, though, what better way to lead into our predictions?
Yay!
So, I mean, what do we start with here?
It's worth noting before we start as well and highlighting we are playing our lock-in rule. However, because it is so blaringly obvious that Shayna Baszler is going to win the Raw Women's Championship #1 contender match, we've both made it a rule that neither of us can lock in on that one because yeah, it's a guaranteed 2 points. But also it makes the lock-in rule more interesting now because there is a sense of real urgency in some other matches. But yeah, so if we start with a match that actually I think is quite hard to call is Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak.
This is very difficult to call. It's kind of been a bit of a weird feud that I don't really care about. If I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean Drew Gulak is technically very good, isn't he? I mean, like I can see this one being one of those matches where do you remember with like Styles Nakamura at WrestleMania, where instead of just trying to have an exciting match, they kind of went to go for some really technical one.
Yeah. Oh, this is definitely going to be a technical match.
I think it's gonna be like one of them. So especially because obviously Drew Gulak came out, didn't he, and said he claims to know like all of Daniel Bryan's weaknesses backstage and stuff, which means it's just gonna be Daniel Bryan doing some really weird technical stuff to try and like outthink him. But I'm gonna go with Drew Gulak here on a surprise one because I think apparently behind the scenes Daniel Bryan as well has been hyping up Drew Gulak to the guys backstage. And I think Daniel Bryan could take a loss to Drew Gulak, and it's not really going to kill him in terms of momentum because he means Daniel Bryan, everyone loves him. So I'm actually going to go with Drew Gulak here. So I think he could do with the push.
Oh, that's annoying because I I was a bit. I was also thinking the same. I felt like if you didn't have, I don't see the point of this match being on the card unless Brian loses. I, I guess Brian could just beat him, uh, but they could have a really impressive match and he'll still get props on a big card. But I think, as you said, I've also read that he's a massive fan of Drew Gulak. He's been really championing him backstage, and because we were just saying how much of this is a nothing pay-per-view, it's very easy for him to go, oh, do you know what? I'll fight him at Elimination Chamber and he can beat me. Like, just to give him a bit of a push. So I also think Gulak's going to win.
No, it's quite interesting getting a big pay-per-view moment there, isn't it? He's normally just relegated to the pre-show on the Cruiserweight title. So I'm quite excited to see what he can do on a big stage against a good opponent as well.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what he can do for sure.
I think that takes us on to the match that I think will actually be on the pre-show, is the US Championship match. Andrade, who's had all the momentum of getting knocked out by R-Truth since coming back from drugs, against Humberto Carrillo. Who do you have and why?
I has been really umming and ahhing about this one. Right, because also the thing is, it's who wins the match, right?
Yeah.
I feel as though Andrade is still going to hold the belt at the end of this. Do you know what? No, I'm going Andrade. I'm just going all in on Andrade. I think he's going to keep the belt. I think, don't be wrong, since he's come back from his wellness policy violation, it's not as if they've been doing amazing things with him. But I feel as though they're going to keep the belt off Carrillo probably until WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I'm going to go with Andrade as well. I think he's obviously too good, and I think as well they're gonna. I think as you said, well, Carrillo. I think at WrestleMania that'll be the nice little, because WrestleMania tends to be more often than not the nice little moment where the face overcomes the odds and beats the heel to get the title belts and stuff. And I think at WrestleMania Carrillo will get his moment beating Andrade, and Andrade will then go on to hopefully, I think hopefully push for bigger things, because there's been talk that he might be possibly the Charlotte Flair, Mr. Charlotte Flair sort of link in there maybe. But yeah, I think Andrade till Mania at least. So I think he'll retain here as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next match is the no disqualification match between Aleister Black and AJ Styles. This is quite a difficult one. Again, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna kind of jump in there, and I'm just gonna say AJ Styles to win this one, because I think obviously Aleister Black's been on this undefeated streak, but I also think AJ Styles has to win for the sake of the Undertaker match at WrestleMania. It seems weird if he loses, but what they can also do here with it being no DQ is I think the OC are going to get involved, and then that saves some face for Aleister Black if he loses because of that. And then there's that weird sort of massive faction gang warfare thing, which involves like Aleister Black and Styles and the OC and whatnot. So I think that lends quite nicely to that, which might have something to do with Mania or somewhere down the line. But I think I'm going to say AJ Styles for this one. I think it kind of has to for the Undertaker match, really.
I'm going to say Aleister Black.
Oh no!
I think you've got everything right apart from one aspect, which is I feel as though Undertaker's going to turn up.
I don't think he needs to though.
I agree. I don't think he needs to, and I, if anything, I could see it almost as being a no contest. But I agree. I think you could have AJ Styles just win, and then from that call out Taker. But there's just something. I don't know. There's just something in the back of my mind that makes me think that Undertaker's going to turn up again. Very similar to. I mean, they flew him all the way out to bloody Saudi, so it's not that difficult to get him to go to wherever the hell this is.
Yeah, but then there's loads of money in the Saudi shows, mate, remember?
True, but yeah, uh, I am wondering, especially because he's still been calling out Taker even now. It's almost like, yeah, I'm gonna go Aleister Black. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna go with Aleister Black.
I mean, that's a big risk, very ballsy of you. It's almost like you're saying goodbye to your title already. I like it. But yes, we move on then to um, the Raw Tag Team title match between the Street Profits and Seth Rollins and Murphy. And here is where
Oh no, I was going to
I
jump in as
am
well.
gonna lock in
God damn it!
on the Street Profits to retain the title.
I was literally about to grab. I was grabbing the mic to go. I'm not looking.
Do you know what this moment is? This is going to be that moment when Bailey beat Charlotte at Elimination Chamber or Fastlane, whichever one it was, I forget. And they ended Charlotte's pay-per-view streak when they might as well have just waited to WrestleMania. And this is going to be the moment where I bring home the title before WrestleMania, walk into WrestleMania as the champ that everyone want, the people's champion. But yeah, it's got to be the Street Profits, right? I mean, as you said,
I mean,
yeah, it's got to be.
Rollins has got to go on to face Owens at Mania. Owens already got involved to help them win the title on Raw. The fact that Owens isn't on the card for Elimination Chamber even more probably means he's going to come out and help them. And then Rollins did also say on Raw about, oh, if Owens wants to fight me, he can fight me at any place, any time, any stipulation. He can name it. So I can almost see Owens will come out, cost them the title, then challenge on Raw. They can go, okay, I accept your challenge. This is going to be the match. It will be this stipulation at WrestleMania. Boom. Despite saying all of that, I now need to back Rollins and Murphy, which is
I mean, they
upsetting.
could. I mean, Kevin Owens could get them disqualified. Get
True.
disqualified.
That's what I'm going for.
But I mean, I don't think they're going to do that though, because I mean, it just makes them look so weak as the new champions.
True, but it's a sad state of affairs when I'm going to be cheering for a disqualification in a match. So yeah.
Hey, you must have done that in a Reigns match before. Come on, don't pretend.
Oh yeah,
Which
true.
takes us on to the other tag match of the night, which is Elimination Chamber match for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. You've got the champions Miz and Morrison versus the New Day versus the Usos versus Heavy Machinery versus Lucha House Party, and then finally versus Ziggler and Robert Roode. Who are you thinking to win?
I'm really torn between two.
I'm torn between two, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same too.
Yes, I'm assuming you're also torn between Lucha House Party and Ziggler and Rude, yeah?
Well, actually, it was Lucha House Party and Heavy Machinery, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No,
fair
I
enough.
think Miz and Morrison or the Usos. I
Yeah,
can't make my
I
mind up.
think it's going to be. Yeah, as I kind of jumped in on the steal, the last one, I'll let you you pick first. I'm thinking for this one. I mean, I don't know. I think it's. I'm in two minds about this one. I think it's too soon to take the titles off Miz and Morrison, but equally, the Usos kind of just came back and are really, really good.
Well, the Miz and Morrison won the titles on a Thursday night, and then on the Friday night lost clean on SmackDown to the Usos.
Yeah, exactly.
However,
Yeah, but
I think Miz and Morrison. I think it's too early. I think there's no point dropping the title off them 2 weeks later, whatever. Yeah, I think Miz and Morrison are going to retain.
yeah, I think Miz and Morrison will retain, and then I think because there's that weird thing of when the Usos sort of came back and they came out on the New Day and were there like, we're gonna have another match or whatever. I think it will be at Mania. You'll probably have a triple threat between the three: New Day, Usos, and Miz and Morrison. And I hope
Oh,
that
put a ladder in there.
would be a wicked match. Like,
Make a TLC. Bring back the TLC matches at WrestleMania. Oh, that would be good.
I mean, they had that, didn't they? WrestleMania 34 when it was New Day, Usos, and the Bludgeon Brothers. And on paper, I was like, this could be really good. And then it was over in like 5 minutes.
That was just a normal triple threat, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an all triple threat, and it was a squash
Yeah.
match essentially. I remember I pretty much went to the toilet and I came back and it was over, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was my toilet break match.
And it very much was the length of the toilet break. It was terrible. But
Yeah.
I think it's too soon to take the titles off Miz and Morrison. I mean, yeah, they lost clean to the Usos, but they also have a tendency, WWE, to sometimes make champions look really, really weak in the TV show, and then when it comes to pay-per-views, they pull it out of the bag. So I'm going to go with Miz and Morrison to retain here as well. Which takes us into the match. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but it's the 3-on-1 handicap match for the Intercontinental title Braun Strowman, the champion, versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn. Yeah,
This is where I'm using my lock-in.
I mean that makes sense because
I will lock in Braun Strowman.
yeah, I feel like he has to win. Surely. I read somewhere someone could make a really funny thing happen of almost like the free bird rule per se, where like one of Nakamura, Cesaro, or Zayn wins it, and then the three of them take it in turns to be the champion. But in reality, it's got to be Strowman, right? It's surely him. I hope it is him actually, because they've had to give him something at WrestleMania that's actually worthwhile.
Yeah, I don't see anything other than Strowman winning this. I mean, they've done a terrible job with Strowman in the past. They have had him be red hot and lose very quickly to Brock Lesnar, for example, or lose to Roman Reigns and never be able to step up and get a title. If he finally wins the IC title and then loses it like 2 weeks later, it's just going to be unforgivable. So yeah, Strowman will win, and I am locking him in.
That is fair. I can't see much of an outcome other than that. I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with Nakamura, Cesaro, and Zayn, because I mean, at some point, Cesaro at least has to kind of break away and do his own thing. And is there some dissension in the ranks in this match? Maybe that might cost them. Maybe there's a moment where like Strowman's down, they're all fighting over who should pin him or something like that. I'm not too sure. I'm a big Sami Zayn fan, and I really would like him to eventually do something solo. But again, I just can't see it happening. at least, at least not for a while. They seem to be very stuck in this. I mean, he's so good on the mic, isn't he, Sami Zayn? Like that segment with the NWO on SmackDown just gone. Sami Zayn on the mic is fantastic, but he needs to kind of get back into his wrestling. But I think he's just so injury prone, isn't he, at the moment, that this is kind of his role now. He is just a manager to people. He's good at it, but yeah, he's a great wrestler as well.
No, I completely agree. It'd be good to see him go back into some single stuff eventually, but in the meantime, he's done a good job on the mouthpiece. But yeah, Strowman's going to win.
Which takes us into the final and the most predictable match of the night, the Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship
There's no
between
point even talking about this match. It's going to be Shayna Baszler.
Shayna
We all know
Baszler,
it's going to be
Asuka,
Shayna
and
Baszler.
4 other people who are not worth mentioning. Shayna Baszler, it's going to be.
Yeah, it is. There is literally this is such a useless Elimination Chamber match. To be honest, the Baszler feud with Becky Lynch doesn't need this match because she's already come out and bitten her in the back of the neck. They clearly want to fight each other. Just let them fight each other. Instead, they've put Baszler in there.
This could have been used for a competitor for Bayley's title for sure.
100%. This could have been you could have had Bayley, Banks.
Yeah, Carmella, Naomi.
Yeah,
Other people you could have in there as well for sure.
you could have had Bayley, Banks, Naomi, Carmella, Lacey Evans because she's been kind of teaming with Naomi recently, and someone else.
You could have
And
chucked
then
Mandy Rose or someone in there.
yeah, and then you sow the seeds for the if the Bayley Banks thing's going to happen or if the Naomi thing's going to happen, you can sow the seeds in there. But instead, we have Baszler against just 4 people you just don't care about. They've obviously all just been put in there to be squashed by her. Asuka will give her a little bit of a fight, and then she'll eliminate her as well. It's just so predictable and dull. It's going to be the main event as well. It's just so unnecessary.
I think it's going to go one of 2 ways. I think it's going to be either Shayna Baszler comes out as one of the first 2 and then just eliminates someone and then just waits for the next person, eliminates them, waits for the next person, eliminates them, and it is like that level of squash. Or she will be the last person out and she will come out and eliminate everyone. I think if she doesn't eliminate everyone, Asuka will eliminate like one person and then possibly that'll be it. I mean, elimination chambers do have tendencies for some pretty weak eliminations at times. So, like you get like a crappy roll up or something like that. So maybe I don't think she will eliminate. I don't know if she'll eliminate everyone or not, but she's obviously going to win the match, which also leads us to our wild card quite nicely. So obviously we kind of just alluded to Shayna Baszler running the not even running the gauntlet, really walking a day in the park with 5 opponents. So our wild card for this one is the thing we're going for is going to be the total number of eliminations by the winners in both matches. So say Baszler eliminates 5 and The Miz and Morrison retain eliminating 1, then it would be 6. So I'm not really I'll let you pick this one as I came up with the idea. So obviously, if you're going with your predictions, it's Baszler and Miz and Morrison. How many total eliminations do you think they'll get?
Baszler is going to get 5. I'm going to go with The Miz and Morrison having 2 eliminations, and I have 7.
Okay, I'm going to go with, to make it nice and interesting, I'm actually gonna go with Baszler obviously getting 5, and then I'm gonna say Miz and Morrison get 1. I'm gonna say I reckon they're good because they're opportunistic heels, or at least Miz is an opportunistic heel. I can see it being New Day and Usos doing a lot of the work. Heavy Machinery and Ziggler and Rude. One of them will eliminate the other one. And then I think Usos, New Day, and whatnot. I reckon the last 3 will be Miz, Morrison, New Day, and Usos. And I think none of the Usos and the New Day will eliminate the other one. And then the Miz will like sneak in, do like a skull crushing finale or something like that, and then just get some crappy opportunistic win. And
I can see that as well, to be honest. But I just thought maybe,
it tends to be a definitive win normally for Elimination Chamber winners. You don't tend to get that many opportunistic wins, but I think Miz is the guy. If anyone's going to do it, he is the most opportunistic. He's the most opportunistic heel they have right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 6. Also keeps it nice and close. Also means if Baszler gets anything less than 5, I'm in the good running as well.
Yeah, that's why I went for 7, to be honest, on the off chance that if Miz and Morrison got 3, but Baszler actually got 4, then I'd be alright.
She'll get 5, Baszler. Like if Baszler doesn't get 5, she'll get 4, and like Asuka will get 1, or someone like Natalya will get 1.
Oh God, no!
Actually, I'll tell you what might happen. I've just looked at the match. I reckon I know something that might happen in it. I reckon one of Liv Morgan or Ruby Riott will eliminate the other one because they have that little weird feud, don't they?
I think they'll fight against each other, but Baszler will eliminate both of them, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm just trying to plant these little seeds of doubt in your mind. I mean, you already know the title is changing hands, but that is our predictions for Elimination Chamber. I can only be impressed by the show, I think. Actually, that's not true.
Yeah.
I think Aleister Black, AJ Styles is potentially really good. Brian Gulak can be good. The Elimination Chamber match, the tag one, I think would be good. There's enough good players in it to make it a good match.
I can only be surprised. I think it's going to be a poor pay-per-view, if I'm completely honest. I just don't have faith at WE at the minute pulling off their main card smaller pay-per-views. I'd want to be proven wrong, but
Will it be better than Super Showdown? That is the question.
Well, that's not that difficult, to be honest, is it? But
yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully, we'll be pleasantly surprised. But obviously, let us know what you think. Let us know your predictions. You can contact us on Twitter at uselessagpod, or individually, I'm at Citadel James.
And I'm at Henry Rogers 94.
I've got some other exciting news because we're now on. Well, we're on the Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube now. Just putting out there. So feel free to watch this on YouTube. It's not actually us. You'll see it's a bunch of pictures, but still could be some entertainment there. And yeah, we'll obviously be back next week we'll talk through the Elimination Chamber card. Hopefully,
we'll listen to your new champion.
Well, no, not that.
You do have a title belt on the way as well. It is.
Oh, I've got it.
You've got it. Is it awful?
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah. It's so bad. We still need to edit it how it looks. So I'm going to be sticking some things to it and whatnot. But
the big title presentation will be WrestleMania weekend, surely. I mean, we're both watching WrestleMania in the same place, so
yeah, we can bring the belt.
Some photos. Me walking in as the champ, me walking out as the champ moment that everyone wants. And watch this space for this awful title belt. Apparently, it costs like £8 or something on Amazon.
I know
So,
it's £3.
£3. Wow, it's even worse than I thought it was going to be. But there you go. This is what we're playing for. Still looks better than the Twig trophy though. So there you go.
That's true. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and tune in next time.